Hello, hello. It's 5:33 in the afternoon, and the title for today's video is "The Level of Corruption in Human Society is Staggering." At this point, I think most people know, even those who are still mostly asleep, that there is something seriously wrong in our world. Even those who want to keep their head in the sand or up their butt can't help but feel it. A friend sent me a series of 3 short videos by Dr. Shirley Moore revealing that the judges in the Los Angeles County courts actually own the courthouses and are running a racketeering enterprise through those courts. And I do provide the link. There is not a doubt in my mind that this is the way of our courts, not only in the U.S., but in many other countries too. Major General Smedley Butler made the statement, "War is a racket." Actually, government is a racket. The level of corruption is truly staggering. What are we going to do about it? Smedley Butler was the most decorated military individual in the history of the United States up to the time that he lived. And he made that statement like 80 years ago, like 1934, that war is a racket. And he actually testified before Congress of a conspiracy that was being run by Prescott Bush, the father of George H.W. Bush and the grandfather of George W. Bush. It was a huge conspiracy, and he was blowing the whistle 80 years ago. And then, of course, Ike in 1960 warned us as he was leaving office that we needed to beware of the military-industrial complex. Well, the complexity of government has increased to the point where government isn't even closely resembling government anymore in the United States and in most other nations of the world. It is a corporation. Of course, in the United States, it's been a corporation since 1871. That's when the United States of America was incorporated. 1871. Did you know that? Many of you that listen probably did, but many other people probably have no clue that we don't even have a government. We have a corporation pretending to be a government. And as I said in a previous video, it is not government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It is government of the corporation, by the corporation, and for the corporation. And corporations are corrupt institutions because the people that own and run and operate the corporations have limited liability and virtually no accountability to anyone except their shareholders and stockholders. That's it. They don't have any obligation to the people of the world. They don't have any obligation to the land or to the earth or to any standard of ethics or morality. They make their own rules as they go along, and they impose rules on people that they don't follow themselves. As Mr. Quiche said in one of his recent exposés, the King of Belgium is a known pedophile, and he's protected by a bunch of other people in Europe that are trying to keep the inventions out of the hands of the people that would make life better for people. Well, we know that's been going on for over 100 years, and the Tesla technologies that were being squashed. And there's still people saying that free energy is crazy. No, it's not. Free energy is the way it is. The Earth runs on free energy. The whole solar system runs on free energy. You don't find the solar system sending Earth a bill for the power it takes for it to move through space and do what it does, or the moon or any other planetary body. It's all free energy. The whole universe runs on free energy. Now, only in Earth did we develop a corrupt system where we have to pay for energy. And of course, J.P. Morgan, when Tesla developed the free energy system, he says, I won't finance anything that I can't make money off of. And there's your corruption. There's the root of your corruption. It's not money. Money isn't the root of the corruption, but the love of money, the greed, the want and desire for power over others, and the control of things. That is the root of the corruption, and it's built into our corporate structure, and it's built into our governments because they are corporately structured. This is the reality of the world. Now, what are we going to do about it? That was the question I asked. What are we going to do about it? Now, Dr. Shirley Moore in her video says, stay out of the courts. That was her solution. You're not going to get a fair trial in courts. Well, this I know. When I filed my federal lawsuit and I got a copy online and I printed it out, I don't know where I've put it, but it's somewhere, of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, right near the top of it, it says that the rights of the people will be protected by law. And I don't remember if that's exactly the wording, but this next part, I'm pretty sure is almost word for word. Once the rules are established, the law shall have no effect. So law protects rights, but rules take the law out of the picture. That's how our courts are run. That's how corporations are run. It has nothing to do with law. It has nothing to do with truth. What are we going to do about it? Well, one of the things that's happening across the world is we're establishing common law courts. And the other thing is citizens' grand juries. A true grand jury is not controlled by the executive, legislative, or judicial branches of our governments. The citizens' grand jury operates by citizens, for the express purpose of bringing indictments against officials operating in the government structure. That's what grand juries exist for. It is like the fourth branch of government, the most important branch. It's the checks and balances that gives the people a voice. We need to take citizens' grand juries back. We need to establish common law courts. Those are lawful and peaceful methods of bringing justice to those who thwart justice by their codes and rules and acts and all of the ordinances and provisions and statutes that they put on the books, because lawyers and bankers are the two most corrupted professions on the planet. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't any honest bankers, although the system itself isn't honest. And it doesn't mean that there aren't upstanding attorneys and lawyers. However, the system itself, in both cases, is totally corrupted. And until we fix that, we cannot have justice. And until we have justice, we cannot have peace. Because it is in the corporate people's best interest to create conflict, to create war, as Smedley Butler said, and to create a system whereby they can profit at everybody else's expense. It's a racketeering. It's an extortion racket. Under the RICO laws of the United States, most government officials that hold any position of power and so-called authority, most of them are operating as criminals. Most of them are committing indictable offenses that are against the law, but again, they don't abide by the law. The law shall have no effect once our rules are established. That's how the courts run. That's why you don't get fair trials. That's why you don't get justice in the court system. They don't want you to get justice because they make money selling a product of injustice and creating dissension and creating anger and violence. Violence isn't because it's human nature. Violence is a created thing. It doesn't come from our human nature. It comes from the system. The matrix creates violence because violence is the root, or comes from the root of injustice. And people innately know when they are being treated unjustly, when the truth doesn't matter in a so-called court or in a so-called government hearing of any kind, because governments are corrupted institutions as they exist. Does that mean that governments are bad? No, there could be good governments if they were brought in line with the law. Governance is the responsibility of the governed. Governance is the responsibility, in other words, of the people of the land. And it's up to the people of the land to hold those that hold public offices accountable. But there are all sorts of legislative rules on the books that sidestep accountability. You can't sue a government agency. Well, government agencies is where the problem is. You've got to be able to get reparations from the people that have committed crimes. And that's where the other thing comes in. The collateral accounts belong to the people because the people were put up against these humongous debts of nations and corporations. The people were put up as the collateral. So the monies that are being made, all of these derivatives, mushrooming and everything, all of those go into the collateral accounts. Mr. Sino is only holds a percentage of he's not in control of all the collateral accounts. I thank Mel V for that information. I wasn't aware of that. I thought he was the signatory on all of the collateral accounts. That's apparently not the case, only some of them. But he wants to put money where his mouth is, so to speak. He wants to put money back into the hands of the people to release the technologies that have been suppressed and to pay the law enforcement agencies, instead of having the corrupt corporations pay them, to provide payment from people that want to do the right thing for the people of the world and create a world that works for everybody. So there's a whole bunch of things that are taking place that show great promise, but we need to break loose from thinking, if you still have that thought, that governments have people's best interest at heart. The way they're currently structured, that simply is not true. Banks simply do not do business honestly. There's no such thing as honest banking. I don't care even if it's a savings and loan or whatever. There's no such thing as honest banking. The whole thing is corrupted because it's based on human beings' value being collateralized, if you will, and turned into an asset, and they don't tell the people, so that it's actually a human slavery system, and as I said, an extortion racket. This is the world that we live in, and you need to become aware that this is it. We're not going to fix anything if we don't see and acknowledge the problem. We have to be willing to face truthfully the world that we live in. We have to be willing to face truthfully our own role in that. And as I said in the video that's airing today, this is the video for the 11th, as I said in the video that's airing on the 10th, the elements of psychopathy are in us, and the primary one is denial. The primary one is to sidestep the issue and to not face it and to lie about it and to wear masks and to delude ourselves. That's where psychopathy comes from, and it's in all of us. It's in all of us to a greater or lesser degree. We need to own that. That's called the shadow. That's the dark side that we've not been willing to face. But the lights are coming on, and some of us are choosing to shine the light into those areas of darkness so that they can be healed, because light heals. Light operates with compassion, with understanding, with wisdom, and allows these things to be faced and the creative force to rise up and create solutions. There is no insoluble problem that we face. Not Fukushima, not GMOs, not the chemtrails, not the government corruption. None of the issues that we face are insurmountable when we choose, individually and collectively, to face our demons, to acknowledge the destructive nature of them, and to heal them. Our demons are us, and we can heal if we will bring that which is unconscious and make it conscious, that which has been in darkness and bring it into the light. And if we can choose to love rather than deny, rather than ignore. Hate is not the opposite of love, and not even fear is. Ignorance is the opposite of love. To ignore something because you don't want to face it, that's ignorance, and that's totally unloving. I want you to think about that, and I want each of you that is willing to choose love, or to at least be willing to choose love to the best of your ability, because this is the energy that's uplifting humanity and lifting us out of this morass of staggering corruption that faces the entire planet and engulfs the entire society of humanity. Thank you for listening. May you have a wonderful day. Namaste.